All right, let's talk a little Cavs, guys. Over the last 18 games, Cleveland is 17-1. And we've talked about the hot streak. We've talked about what they've done. But I was doing some digging, and I found this stat from Dork Sports, which is, it sounds like a joke Twitter handle. It's a very legit. They do awesome work. If you don't follow Dork
burner
Sports,
account.
phenomenal.
That's your burner account. Tell
I
the
wish.
truth.
Listen, they go deep into the archives. Very, very well worth a follow, though. In this 18-game stretch for the Cavs, they have been outscoring their opponents by 303 points in totality. 18 games, 303 points. It's only happened 5 other times in NBA history since Dork Sports has been tracking.
Wow.
The Bucks have done it twice. In 1971-72 season, that's when they had Kareem. In 2020 and 2021, that was Giannis's MVP when they blew out everybody in the regular season. How about the 72-win Bulls? The first year of the Steph KD Warriors.
That was not their championship year, though, was it?
72.
No, the 2021.
For the Bucks?
Didn't the Lakers win that year?
No, that was the Bucks championship.
It was the Bucks championship? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
So the
Right?
Lakers won 21-22. Sure about that?
Yeah, because that COVID year was the year after COVID.
Mm-hmm. Well, COVID was COVID-19, and then 2020 was the year of the shutdown.
That's not their championship year. Bucks won the following year, but that was the year that they won the regular season.
The only reason I bring that up is because I'm not sure the Bucks won the year Kareem did it either.
Regardless of whether they done it or not, those are 5 of the greatest teams in the history of the NBA. Kawhi and Duncan. Take it back up, Ant. Steph and KD Warriors, the first year, they won a championship for sure. 72 Bulls won for sure. 71-72 Bucks, I'm 99% sure they won. I'll pull that up in 1 sec.
Okay.
And then the Bucks in 2021, 2020.
I'm just trying to figure out, is this some sort of indicator of
4 of the 5, according to Dork
success?
Sports, 4 of the 5 had won championships. 303 in 18 games is a feat that is very rarely accomplished.
It's nuts.
That's not just beating teams on a nightly basis. That's beating the living crap out of teams.
Right.
And not all those teams are 17-1. Their one loss was to Milwaukee. They ended up beating them twice in that stretch. It is not only one of the best stretches in NBA history, it's the best stretch in Cavs history. And you can take 180 from me real quick. Of any stretch in 18-game history for the Cavs, their best 18-game plus-minus was 293. That was during
Who figured this?
Dork Sports. This is all from Dork Sports, so shout out Dork Sports.
God.
Do you think the Cavs, so the question is essentially, are the Cavs getting enough credit for how good they've been over this 18-game stretch? It's the regular season. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be playing like this in the postseason. This doesn't guarantee a championship by any means.
No, but in the moment, is it being properly celebrated?
Exactly. Are we giving enough credit to the Cavs for how damn good they've been since the middle of December?
No, but I'll say this, man. Nipsey Hussle. Everybody knows Nipsey Hussle was, right? Nipsey Hussle got a famous line that says, man, I don't even trip on the credit. I just keep paying the dues. Like, sometimes you won't get the credit for the work that you put in. Just keep paying the dues, right? The Cavs got big dreams and big goals. And, get to the playoffs, win a playoff series, possibly get to the Eastern Conference Championship, and then see what happens from there. But, locally or nationally, if people are not giving you the quote-unquote credit, so what, man? Just keep paying your dues. You know who you are. You know what your goals are. You know what you're trying to accomplish. The hell with the credit, man. Keep going out there every single night. Keep playing hard. Keep doing what you're doing.
No, we're not giving them their just desserts, and there's a couple of reasons. One is, whether we like it or not, we've been jaded. To me, we've had the best basketball player ever to play in this city. And when you have the best basketball player ever to play basketball, it's like saying, if you go to Chicago and say, hey, the Bulls are in 5th place, are we giving them enough credit? They ain't trying to give you no credit. Like, they saw 6 championships. Now they're not going to give you no credit. They may, even with Derrick Rose was there, like, they was good, but they was still not saying that they was nowhere near what the Bulls was. I think the same thing goes into what we talk about here. We went to the finals 4 years in a row. We did win a championship. We did play the Golden State Warriors, who probably had one of the greatest teams ever assembled. So it's kind of difficult for me to be like, all right, let me look at Max Strus and, some of the guys in Isaac Okoro and be like, oh, my goodness, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. No, the only way we're going to give them credit is if they establish something and become consistent in what they're doing, not just a flash in the pan. So if they can go this year, ball out, say, for instance, get to Eastern Conference Finals and lose in 6-7 games, Now they got some money in the bank. Now we know, okay, this is what this team is like. They play hard. They're not gonna fold in the playoffs. It's just about making shots.
That's nasty. That's a nasty shot.
That is a nasty shot. I love the Nipsey Hussle line, by the way.
And by the way, just to clarify, all 5 of those teams did win championships.
Yes,
we actually had our years wrong on the COVID year.
Right.
COVID was 1920. All 5 of those teams on that list, along with the Cavs,
Right.
who are yet to win a championship, are NBA champions.
Now, look, so history tells us that is an indicator of winning a championship. That's been done 5 times in NBA history, and 5 times they've won the Larry O'Brien. That's great. Here's why they're not getting their credit. We saw this movie last year in the regular season. This one's a little bit better, but we saw it. And then, when all eyes were on them for 4 games, they laid a major egg. They were the disappointment in the playoffs for me, because I knew that Knicks were a tough matchup for us. I thought if we lost, it's going to go 5 games, and all the games would be close. Mm-hmm. I couldn't figure out what happened to that regular season Cavs team once the playoffs started. So we talk about Patrick Mahomes, and you know what you're going to get. You know. He's going to be steady. He's going to be great. When the moment is its biggest, he'll be his best. Mm-hmm. Last year, when the moment was biggest for the Cavs, they were their worst. So I'm not going to buy fool's gold again. I'm not saying they're going to flame out again. What I'm saying is I put my hand on the stove last playoff season, and I still have scar tissue on my hand. I got burned. I'm not willing to touch that stove again until I'm sure that it's not still red hot. So this Cavs team is doing all they can do in the regular season. They're not even the 1 seed. But they've looked really, really good over the last 2 months of the season. I need to see it in April. I need to see it when the real lights shine. I need to see this same Cavs team. If they continue to play like this, I think they have to be considered a championship caliber team. I'm not predicting a championship, but when you're a 2 at the All-Star break, in most situations, you're a legitimate contender. So go win in the postseason, and you'll have my attention.
Let me play devil's advocate, though. Last year, they played a specific style of play. Last year, they was way less physical. They looked like they was way less. They was way less aggressive. And now they did some changes. They went and got some shooters, right? Those shooters have paid dividends. The guys that was playing weak last year, not playing so weak this year. Your superstar has showed up and is playing better than he played last year. And you was the 4 seed last year. Now you're the 2nd seed.
Well, they're only, if I'm not mistaken, they're only a game from the 5th.
So they're only game from the 5th?
I think they're 2 or 3 games up from the 5th now.
So
it's pretty close. It's tight.
If they, and I saw Boston play last night. Boston got, a lot of guys. They got Holiday, got Porzingis. They still got Horford, obviously Brown and Tatum and White and all those guys. Like, if they can get to a point where you 2 games out of first place and the Celtics already have won 40 games, the Cavs got the 2nd best record in the league. That has to, for a team that is young, that got embarrassed, doesn't that show you that they figured something out?
I mean, I think that it's funny because I said this yesterday when me and Mike went live. I believe in humility before honor. And usually before you kind of reach the pinnacle, reach your goal, or become successful, you go through some hardships. Sure. You go through some growing pain. You go through some tough times. And people don't realize in those moments while you're going through it, how necessary those moments are. Everything that the Cavaliers went through last year, even though it pissed us off to see our team go through it and it frustrated us, it was necessary. Because you got to go through those growing pains in order for you to grow, become better, learn from your mistakes, and then become ultimately who you believe that you can become. And I think last year was huge for the Cavaliers. We might not have realized it or understood it in the moment, but you see it now. I'm going to read this quote real quick. And Jared Allen said this to Cleveland.com 3 days ago. He said, "We may not look like the toughest, but when you start messing with the dogs, you're going to get bit." We talk all the time about athletes hearing the noise and seeing everything, right? I talk to the point of, I don't think that's a problem. I think what you do with it is what matters. This is a team that heard all the noise and read everything about how soft they was, how unprepared they was, how the lights was too bright, how they got to their biggest moment and they failed. They seen all of that. And you see the results of that right now show up in their play, show up in their effort, show up in just the little things that they do. And I'm loving it. And I'm to your point, right? Like, we're local Cleveland media. We might not be covering the Cavs or giving them all the attention, and they 17-1. Man, just keep doing what y'all doing. We see y'all.
Don't worry
but
about
we're not ready to really just but just keep doing what you're doing. And trust me, when the time come, we're gonna give y'all all y'all flowers that y'all earned.
You get what you deserve. And if they and I need more than one playoff win too.
Yeah.
If you're the two, like, I need to see 2 playoff wins. If you end up being the one, I want to see you in the finals.
You're talking about series, not simple games, right?
Yeah.
I just you said 2 playoff wins. Just want to clarify.
No, I mean series
wins,
yeah,
not,
I don't mean 2 playoff wins still get you bounced in the first round.
That's why I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, no,
I want to make sure you're on the record
there's
with that.
steps to it. Everybody knows that there's a progression to success in the NBA. And you're right, you do have to walk through coals to get to where you want to be. Last year was really tough. The coals I was hoping to walk through would be a nice win in the first round, and then you lose in the last game of round 2. We didn't get to round 2. We won 1 playoff game, and I love that quote. Was that from Allen?
Yeah.
I love that quote. And the reason I love that quote is because you don't have to be the bully to be successful.
Right.
But you can't be successful if you don't strike back when the bully hits you.
Just don't be the punk.
Don't be the punk.
Just don't be the punk.
Last year, we were the punk.
That's it.
And so you don't have to be aggressive. You can be passive-aggressive. But when the Cobra strikes, you have to strike back, or you're the punk.
I think one thing it'll be like, and let's be honest, man, we Cleveland fans or whatever the case may be, we ain't done enough living and done enough winning to be jaded. Like, I'm sorry. Like if you want to be a Golden State Warriors fan and be jaded, like, oh, you know what, I'm just so tired of winning these championship games. I have nothing for it regular season. That's cool. We can be mad, but we can't be jaded. 17 out of your last 18 games means something. Like, you're on the right track. You're doing some things. And I've always said, I want to see you develop people. And guess what? JB is developing people. Sam Merrill's been developed. Isaac Okoro's gotten better. Jared Allen is playing better. Donovan Mitchell's having his best year of his life, it seems like. Now, I think the Cavs are over the whole overarching thing. Are they good or are they not? I think now they're to the place where now we can start talking about the minutia of, okay, what's the best way to play? You know, we was on the radio the other day, and Earl he just poisoned the water supply. We was on the barbershop.
I didn't.
Don't
listen to him, Jay.
He said he got Darius Garland coming off the bench. All these people agree with him. Let's
give it more context to that, because here's the funny part about it, right? I was on this set last Monday, and I said I felt like, like possibly bringing Darius Garland off the bench. I got ripped to shreds for it, right?
Why?
I don't know, right? Ripped to shreds. I say the same thing Saturday, and everybody is agreeing. All I was saying was that I thought the Cavaliers made the right move by not kind of making any moves at the trade deadline.
Right.
I came around to the point that Jason has always made. All the Cavs need is experience and time to grow. My point now is, if we're talking about what we seen last year in the playoffs, right, and we don't want a repeat performance, because the Cavs are a lock to make the playoffs.
Yes.
You got the rest of this season to experiment, to tinker with different lineups, to see how many different lineup variations that you can exploit.
I said that a couple weeks ago.
At the same time, you're trying to get Darius Garland going. You know that you're going to need Darius Garland come to playoffs, right? I think Darius Garland is a very talented basketball player, for those who don't think I just don't like him. The dude is talented. If I'm JB Bickerstaff, you Darius Garland. Let's have a conversation, Jay. I know you a max player. I know what you're capable of. I know you're capable of 20-5. I understand that you're trying to get yourself back into game shape. I understand that you're even trying to work on becoming a better facilitator at the point guard position. But right now, we got so much talent. We got so many different people playing well. Let me see if I can bring you off the bench for the next 3 or 4 games. That way, when you come in with that second unit, the world is yours. You still going to get your 25, 28 minutes a game. Let's see if we can get the numbers up in the points per game. You're doing pretty well with the assists. The Cavs was plus 19 with him on the court, the last game they played. Darius, this is not nothing permanent. This is not nothing long term. I literally just want to see if this works now, so that way if we're in a situation come playoffs, I know that I got this glass breaker lineup that I can go to if I need it.
So there's two scenarios that I'll answer that with, okay? When Travis Kelce wasn't on the field yesterday in a critical moment in the game, how did he respond?
Oh, passion. He was
He
pissed.
damn near knocked his coach over,
Yeah, he was
right?
pissed.
He was furious. I'll go to another one. When Drew Brees, who was a Super Bowl winning quarterback and will be a Hall of Fame quarterback, was taken out of the game because they had a backup quarterback that could do things that he can't. How did Drew Brees handle that?
I really don't remember that.
Class and dignity. Never once did he go to Sean Payton and say, "What are you taking me out of the game for? I'm a Hall of Famer. I've won a ring. I put a ring on your finger." And he said, well, in this particular instance, if he never responded that way. That conversation may have been had, by the way, behind closed doors. Likely did. And here's the way Sean Payton probably answered it. I believe there are certain situations in the game that call for certain solutions. He's not a better quarterback than you. He does one thing definitively better than you do. When that's needed, I owe it to the other 52 guys to make sure I got the best player in the game at that spot, at that time. Now, they never took that to a Super Bowl.
Right.
And I only bring that up because I think the key to the Cavs' success in the playoffs is how Darius Garland responds to this. Is he Travis Kelce? Or is he... And now look, Kelce won the Super Bowl. He got 8 catches for
82 yards after having one catch for one target.
So it worked because the coach clearly got him more involved. And Drew Brees never won a Super Bowl with Taysom Hill.
Yeah, but full disclosure again, since we're doing this here, I just want to say I think that Darius Garland is a very talented basketball player.
And he's not Taysom Hill, by the way. I'm not making that comparison.
No, I'm just saying because when I come with these outside the box takes and try to be creative, people think that I don't like Darius Garland or I'm just trying to send him to the bench or we don't know basketball. No, you got to be creative. You got to think outside the box.
Especially in the playoffs.
People have this mindset of I'm afraid to try something different or I'm afraid to tinker with this and tinker to that. I don't operate in fear. That's not who I am.
No.
And so, of course, my mind is going to go, I need to get you going. I know I need you, right? I love the fact that you're becoming a better facilitator. I love the fact that you're not forcing jump shots when you know you're not in game shape, right? You finding other ways to have an impact on the game. But I need Darius Garland to still go get a bucket when it's time to get a bucket. It's just that simple.
And what happens ultimately, I think, is if I love the way you phrased it, you're going to be the king of the second unit. When the second unit is out there, you're going to be going against the second unit in all likelihood. And if the other coach decides not to put his second unit on the floor when you're on the floor, we're going to wear his starters out. So you create a real headache for the opposing coach if you're bringing Garland off the bench and there's no rest for your starters. You want to go ahead and live in that universe where you put a second-team guy on Darius Garland. He's going to get smoked, and now your second unit is definitively better than any NBA's second unit because you've got a first-unit guy leading it. One last thing before you go, G. I believe that I know it's outside the paradigm thinking, and it's definitely not the way you want to do it. Per that standard, the Cavs have never played better in the regular season. Not even with LeBron James for all those years were they plus 303 in an 18-game stretch. How big of a factor was Darius Garland in those last 18 games?
I mean, they haven't lost since he's come back.
He was out for how many of those 18 games? 12?
Yeah, I think they're 6 in a row.
So 2/3 of that stretch, Garland wasn't on the floor. And when Garland has played, he's clearly not, I mean, he's had moments, but he hasn't looked like Darius Garland pre-injury. That's because the Cavs in his absence figured something out. And what they figured out is this is what makes them the absolute best team they can be. I hope Darius Garland throws his arms around that and accepts that. I'm not saying you bring him off the bench all of the time, but there will be matchups where the other team's second unit is at a distinct disadvantage if Garland's on the floor.
It was so funny because I literally said just 3 or 4 games, just to experiment. But again, to me, people get so outraged because they don't know how to think outside the box. People want to stick with the status quo.
Status quo got us bounced.
People are more concerned about public perception than they is experimenting and trying different ways to get to your ultimate goal.
Right.
Again, I don't operate in my fears. I don't give a damn what the masses think, how they feel about things, right? You got to be willing to step outside of yourself and at least try something different. And if you're not willing to try something different, then that says a lot about you. That's a lot of stubbornness, right? And again, it's just a situation. 9 times out of 10, the man probably is never coming off the bench anyway, right?
Right.
It probably won't happen because even in the NBA, they're going to say this is a max player.
Sure.
He can't be coming off the bench. But for everybody who feels like it's the worst idea in the world, I would tell you, man, you got to learn how to think outside the box and stop going about everything like you do every single day.
So the poll got 27,000 views. Now, they was on you. They was liking it at first. But as you know, as time goes on,
sure.
you know, so 59% of the people with this tweet.
What poll are you talking about?
This poll that Tagboard refuses to show the results, but this is the poll that G put up. There's actual results to this poll, which G will read you, but this was the tweet he put with the options, yes or no.
Would you bring Darius Garland off the bench on a limited basis for 3 to 4 games to get his rhythm? 41% of the people said yes. 59% of the people said no. 27,000 views, and over 1,200 people responded to the poll. Now, when you go and look and you take a look at some of the numbers that we talk about, the numbers that accompany them are slightly scary a little bit. Now, Darius Garland obviously does not have his feet underneath him, right? He doesn't have exactly his feet what he's averaging. He's averaging 18.8 right there. But if you go back and you look at the last since he came back, he got 19 points his first night back, 3 assists. At Memphis, 9 points, 7 assists. Against San Antonio Spurs, 4 points, 4 assists. Sacramento Kings, 11 points, 5 assists. The Wizards, 13 points and 4 assists. Brooklyn, 14 points, 7 assists. And the Toronto Raptors, 11 points and 8 assists. So he's hovering around about 10 points or so.
A clearly diminished role.
That's the point.
And they're 7-0.
That diminished role, and he's 7-0. Now, when you look at the salary rise, right, and we talk about it, hey, basketball players to me is the most sensitive people in all the world. It's only they're an elite group of people. They play AAU. They hang with only 5 or 10 of them, and it's a different world. Darius Garland, in terms of what he makes, is an elite guy. $34 million. Now, mind you, that's a year. Guess who else makes that type of money? John Morant, he ain't coming off the bench. James Harden ain't coming off the bench. Karl Anthony Towns ain't coming off. Devin Booker ain't.
Aren't these guys definitively the best players on their team?
Yes, indeed, they are.
And Darius Garland is not.
Jamal Murray, NBA champion. Brandon Ingram. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And this is the thing that hits you. He makes more than Donovan Mitchell. So
that's a fact.
He makes more than Jason Tatum.
Also a fact.
When you make that amount of money and you in the league, you not only would he not do it, his agent will be like, we got rid of Colin Sexton for this guy.
His agent's Rich Paul, for anyone wondering.
And his name's Rich Paul. He'd be like, coming off whose bench? Darius Garland, I don't care if he averages 5 a game. My client is not, because you know how I go in the league, Jay. If you get bounced from one team where you was the man, people start whispering. Hey man, he really ain't even a point guard.
You know what people do though when you win an NBA championship as a definitive great 6th man? Name some that have done it.
Ginobili,
who Porter, Michael Porter didn't start. Did he for the Nuggets? But
he started
great.
last year.
He did last year.
Now think about it. You done already moved him in your mind to 6 man. You see,
and I'm not saying definitively 6 man. I'm not. I'm saying there will be matchups,
right,
that you look at, and it's all dependent on the matchups. That's what the Cavs don't get. Well, Cavs fans don't get. If you want to keep running into that same brick wall, then don't be surprised if you get bounced in the first round. The Cavs were bounced in the playoffs last year, not because they weren't the better team.
Mm-hmm.
They lost the matchup game with the Knicks. They had no answers. What I'm saying is there will be series where you just look at things and say, whoa, they got nobody to handle Darius Garland in their second wave. So once they go to their second wave, I'm giving my star a breather, and my team probably just got better. Because Garland coming in for him to now do what Mitchell was doing is doing it against an inferior defender. And now all of a sudden, the coach is going to look at his rotation, and his second wave is going to end up being 2 minutes instead of 4. What does that do to the starters in minute 46, 47, and 48 when 95% of all playoff games are decided?
I will say this, though.
They're more tired.
Since he's been back, I heard him speak to the media the other day, and I really appreciated what he had to say.
I did too.
You know, he said that I'm not in game shape. I'm still working myself back into game shape, and that I'm just really out here trying to get my teammates involved. And so, like, the Cavs were plus 19 with him on the court their
Good
last
sign.
game. I appreciate the fact that Darius Garland is not out here just jacking up shots just for the sake of jacking up shots, right? He's playing within the offense. He's doing his thing. You know what I mean? Like, as he's coming back and getting himself back into basketball shape, you know, I'm just throwing out different scenarios of while we're in this little stretch of how can I do more to get Darius Garland going when it comes to the point side of things. I think he's doing his job when it comes to being a facilitator and getting his team involved. I appreciate the fact, like I said, that he's not forcing anything while he works himself up back into shape, you know, but it was just a thought. Maybe or maybe not, this can be a confidence booster for you, you know, as you come back next couple games and we playing some bums and you the leader of the second team. Now you back to dropping 24 a game. Next thing you know, you back in the starting lineup and you dropping 24 a game there. You know, it's
how
not the worst thing in the
fit
world.
Together.
Yeah,
That's what it comes down
that's all.
to.
Are
And
you seeing some McNuggets in his game that would be alarming, or you just figure it's just a matter of time?
No, he's working his way back. You know, if you to Earl's point of matchups in the playoffs, like they're undersized when they play together. Some of the teams in the Eastern Conference have supersized lineups. If Garland's not closing a game at any point, it's probably because defensively they have 2 6-foot guards playing against 4 guys that are 6'8" or bigger on New York or Boston.
So
or
that's
something like
matchup
that.
driven.
Yeah, so maybe it can be matchup driven, but I don't think. You know, I still think at the end of the day, their best lineup includes Darius Garland. Offensively, those two are their 2 best playmakers with the ball in their hands.
We'll find out.
And in the playoffs,
We'll find out in the playoffs.
when teams do scheme, you usually have to go to secondary options. They try to take out what you do best. So Garland brings a ton to the table. And the one thing I appreciate with Darius, and Earl, you kind of touched on it, he's not forcing the action when he comes in now. He's trying to fit into the system. And granted, this is something he hasn't played in yet. He missed when they kind of made that initial transition. He was still recovering from injury. So for him, it's new. He's kind of working his way back into it. And it's even more difficult for him because he's being asked to change his role in a new system that other players are already used to, or at least a little more accustomed to because they've had more time in. So I'm not too worried. The last few games have been more promising, and you saw his assist numbers go up. I thought Toronto was his best game. The plus 19 is one stat that kind of shows, all right, maybe some things kind of worked out, but plus minus is a weird stat that doesn't tell everything. So Dean Wade didn't make a shot and was a plus 20 against Toronto, and it's just kind of
Johnny Bravo.
It's one of those
circumstantial,
stats that,
but I'm not throwing the red flag up yet. I'm not really worried.
The plus minus is weird. You're right. I can watch a game.
It's a great stat.
I never look at it
It's
in
a
the
great
game.
stat,
I always
but
look
it's
at
also
it
not
after.
the end all be all.
Yeah, it's not the end all be all. And a lot of times, not more often than not, but a lot of times, I'll look at the plus minus when the game is over, and I'll look at the box score and go, wow, he was -7. I wouldn't have guessed that this player was -7. Sometimes it happens the other way. How in the hell was he plus 14? They look terrible when he was in the game. So it's weird, but
To kind of put a bow on it, is there anything that they can do to have either one of you excited going into the playoffs?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. But again, to me, it's all fool's gold. We learned it last year more than ever before. When a 52-win team flames out that spectacularly in the playoffs, anything is possible.
I'm excited now. Like, I'm a Cavs fan before anything. Like, I'm gonna be excited. I love the way they're playing now. Like, I'm excited to see them play now. They play Wednesday. I'm excited for that. Like, as they keep this thing rolling and going to the playoffs, hell yeah. Like, fandom eventually will take over. I can't sit up here and give no, like, pretty critique answer of they need to do X, Y, and Z. They're winning. They're having fun doing so. They look damn good doing so. And as a fan, I'm excited to see it. Just stay consistent with it.
You know the one thing that can make me most excited? Stay out of the Knicks' crosshairs. Don't like that's why the 2 is so important.
Right.
Because the Knicks, I think, improved themselves more than anyone at the trade deadline. And for me, you start looking that you're doing the reverse math. Well, if we're a 4 and the Knicks get the 5, But if we're a 3, it's less likely you're going to see the Knicks, because I think the Knicks are going to finish in the second half better than they did the first.
But you could also see the Sixers and Joel Embiid is back.
Well, the thing with them missing Joel for so much time scares me that if Philly drops far enough, let's just say the Cavs finish in the 3, because I do think at the end of the day, it's, for me, Boston, Milwaukee, Cleveland, although Milwaukee and Cleveland are close. But if Cleveland finishes in the 3, the likelihood is you won't see the Knicks, but you could see Philly if they fall far enough without Embiid. That's not a first-round matchup that suits you.
I will be excited if, here's the way I looked at it. I always assume, to me, on paper, the Milwaukee Bucks, when you have Lopez, when you still got Middleton, you still got Giannis, and you got obviously Dame Dollar. I feel like they just got a better roster. You know what I'm saying? It's the highest end. But if you could tell me the Cavs is going to be in the second seed over them and almost win 60, if they win 60 games, I feel like you got to be. At that point, we ain't seen no 60.
What are they on pace for, 55, 56?
If they win 60 games, G, that means the rest of the season they can only lose 4 games.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
So for them to go 60 right now, they are 35-16. They'd have to go 25-4 to end the season.
Yeah, that won't happen.
You know what's so funny? You look at the schedule coming up. They got bums coming up too.
They do got a very easy schedule to end, but
they've got Philly 3 more times.
They got an easy little schedule. I'm like, dang, they
How
might
much
win.
of this 17-1 run do you attribute to the schedule? Because they have had Milwaukee twice, but the schedule has been very kind.
the schedule helps, obviously, but they've been playing really good basketball. They're number 1 in net rating. They're number 3 in offense. They're number 1 in defense.
Well, when you're playing bad teams, though, it's
but I'm just saying, it's not like it's flukes. And the thing we talked about,
I wonder what the winning percentage is of the teams collectively over the last 18.
I can't do that math off the top of my head. But
no, it's gonna take
I'll say
longer than
this,
that.
and we'll move on in a sec. 2 things that are different about the Cavs this year than last year. One, they don't just have one way to win. Last year, if Donovan Mitchell had an offensive game, they struggled to score 105 points. They had to win defensively. This year, they can beat you defensively. They can beat you offensively, more versatile. Secondly, most cases, there's been a few blips. They're not playing with their food. They're beating the crap out of bad teams. That's part of the plus 303.
Sure.
The average margin of victory, they have 6 games in this 17 out of 18 where they haven't trailed by a single point. They're not just winning. They're crushing bad teams.
Let me ask you a question. Of the brain trust that you call friends, you've got people in high positions that you're friends with in the NBA. What is the general consensus of your Emerson brain crowd on what the Cavs are doing and what they are? Are they buying it?
They're kind of similar to you guys. They're really good, but until they win a playoff series, it's all sham. I think not a sham, but it's all, they got to prove it before I'm fully bought in.
Okay.
Which I think is fair. I think it's fair. You can admit they're really good and still acknowledge, not admit, acknowledge. They have to prove it in the playoffs before you can fully buy into them as a legit contender.
Yeah, JB. All eyes are on JB once the playoffs start.
Really quickly, the next few games: Sixers, Chicago, Orlando, at Philly, at Washington. Those are winnable games.
All of those are.
You got Dallas. Luka and Kyrie. But after,
where is that? Is that home?
Here.
That's at home.
Ooh.
And then you got a game against the Knicks in New York. That's a national TV game.
I'm gonna watch that with great
interest.
And
then they got 2 days later the Boston Celtics.
That's both at home, by the way.
And so those are 2 dope games, and then a couple other dudes down the stretch. They got Minnesota twice, who's number 1.
When's the Boston game?
The 5th. March 5th.
Okay, let's revisit this March 5th.
They got New York March 3rd, Boston March 5th.
And both those are in Cleveland.
Both in Cleveland.
Okay, so March 6th.
We'll have a really good tale.
We'll have a great conversation about what are the Cavs a month from the playoffs.
Yep.
But I mean, back to to wrap it up with what he asked for, are the Cavs getting enough credit? No, but who cares? Just keep winning.
Well, you're
right?
again, you're Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah,
line.
just keep winning.
Yep.
The hell with the credit.
Keep
just
paying
keep
your
winning.
dues.
Keep doing what y'all doing.
Yeah, credit will come.
Yeah, just keep winning.
All right.
Awesome.